And welcome back to the show. You're listening to CarSmarts Radio. Hey, it's the start of Season 3. I want to mention, as always, at the beginning of each season, that we have opportunities for sponsorship here on the show with rates affordable for any size business. Start the new year off right by reaching in our expanding regional audience by getting in touch with me, Steve, at carsmartsradio.com, or just go to the website, carsmartsradio.com. Back with Matt Murray of Iron Trap Garage. You can check out his videos and his Instagram, and what else you on? You're on Facebook. Great Facebook page, and lots of conversation, interaction, and just great videos. Really, I'm going to warn you, they're addictive, and it's a lot of fun to watch you clean out one of those cars. For someone who wants to get into the vintage hobby, is there a magazine, or is there a particular website or other resources, other than your own, of course, where one can go?
Well, unfortunately, Motor Trend just killed all the car magazines recently. Boo! So they killed all the big print magazines are actually out of business. You know, currently they're online, but but so definitely, and even with those magazines, a lot of those they're more geared towards a different style. If you're into the traditional hot rod or the old cars, there's a website that's been around for quite a while, and kind of the Jalopy Journal or the Ham. Ryan started that website a number of years ago, and like Ham Radio. He basically started that website about the traditional hot rod thing, and it's a forum, and it's one of the few car forums that hasn't died, and it's still quite active. So like that's a great forum if you're into like the 50s, like the pre-war to like early 60s stuff. That's the place to go to like search about information. There's great threads on there about like people showing old photos and discussing like the cars. I'd say that's probably the best spot to go in one place to research old cars. Join the forum, introduce yourself. I still do some build threads on there, and guys have great discussions. There's been cars that have been uncovered, and guys will say, hey, I found this old hot rod. Does anybody know anything about it? And there's been cars where literally the history of the car has been found through the forum because, hey, I know a guy that lived in that town. And so that's probably the best spot. Our YouTube channel is probably one of the other big sources because we're kind of educating you without having to search as hard. You know, you can just go right on one of our videos and you can watch it and see how to heat and drop a spindle for a Model A Ford. You know?
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
What are some tips about auctions? I know you go out to Hershey and others and bid on stuff. Get there early, or what are some of the tips that you would give?
Educate yourself. Back to that. Just be you never know when a good deal is going to strike you. It could be a yard sale. It could be walking Hershey. It could be anywhere. So I found that you don't need, same thing. You don't definitely to swap meet. You need to be early. If you show up at lunchtime. All of us guys that are there early, we got our deals, we already left, we're on our way home, and, and you're just picking up scraps. So you got to get there early. Estate auctions are just a matter of either having a lot of money or having a lot of knowledge, and that's really the answer for that. But that's just persistence. That's the biggest thing.
So you were talking about magazines, and a lot of the like Hot Rod and CarCraft and all those are sort of out of print. But there are libraries and other places where you can find old copies from the 50s, 60s, 70s. Are those useful for people to educate themselves?
Yeah, I always joke on our videos when people ask in comments, there's probably one guy in your major city or town that's like me that has an archive of old hot rod magazines and rod and customs. I have probably hundreds and hundreds of them. So like there's lots of guys like me that collect them. If you become friendly with them, you can borrow the magazine. Another great resource actually is Amazon. If you go on Amazon and start searching like hot rod, there's some really great books that were written with old photos and stories. Like I just got the Iskandarian book that's basically a story about his life and everything, and there's old photos. So like Amazon, believe it or not, has a lot of books that have really good old photos and stories about traditional hot rods and customs that you can read up on, and you can literally go on Amazon, buy it for $10, and jumpstart yourself.
Yeah, I want to just a shout out to cartechbooks.com. They have some good. The sale is over. The deal, the CarSmarts Radio deal is over, but I still encourage people to go to cartechbooks.com. They got a lot of cool stuff there. What is your most treasured? I think I know the answer to this. What's your most treasured pick or find at a garage sale, barn sale, estate sale?
Yeah, I think it was actually just recently this fall. Like you referenced, I went to an estate auction. It was poorly advertised, and I was one of the few people there that knew what really truly knew what the stuff was. and I'd argue I was probably the most knowledgeable guy there about the stuff that was there other than the guy that owned it. And I was able to walk away with a set of original Ardent heads for a Flathead V8 to convert to overhead valve, and a pair of original Italo-Mechanica or Scott blowers or superchargers for Flathead Fords. So that's, I mean, again, back to the money. Doesn't matter how much money in the world you have, you can't buy some of that stuff. So for me to own it, a mere mortal, it was pretty crazy.
And they're not for sale.
They are not for sale.
Talk a little bit about Flathead Ford. What is it to people who don't know? How does it compare to sort of your average V8?
So Flathead Ford is it was basically the first V8. I mean, there's technicalities, we won't get into that, but it's basically the first mass-produced Ford first V8, and at that point, basically the valves were in the head, and there was not a true cylinder head. The cylinder head was just a cover, so it's much different than a modern engine, but really what it did is it was the first time that they upped the horsepower of a vehicle so dramatically by just going into a normal car. I mean, Packards and Cadillacs, they had big straight eights and things that made a lot. But this was the average guy's car. You could buy a car that they doubled the horsepower basically by putting a 32 Ford. Instantly had a V8 that doubled the horsepower of the four-cylinder, and that's what was one of the what set off the hot rodding of the whole obsession with V8 engines.
All right, 2 minutes left. We're going to do the hot lap. Here's a little intro music. Your first car.
My first car was actually like a Ford Bronco 2 that I bought with a couple bucks I had, and I fixed it up a little bit and sold it for a small profit when I was, I think, 15 or 16. So
they're hot now, and they got a bad rap for rollovers, but old Broncos are coming up, both the full size and even the Bronco 2. What car did you take your driving test in?
I took my driving test, I believe, in my grandfather's little Toyota pickup truck that my dad owned. And I think that was what my test was in.
First ticket, not including parking tickets in Boyertown. They're not that strict there. It's pretty cool. But what's your first ticket?
I think my first ticket was actually just like right after I started driving. I ran a red light. Well, I was like one of those deals where the light turned yellow and I panicked and I like stopped in the middle of the intersection instead of just going through it awkwardly. And then I like rolled through the light and there was a cop sitting there.
We call that California stop. And you spent time in California quite a bit, so you probably pick that up. Your favorite, car you most regret selling?
I don't think I have one, to be honest. We talked about it a little bit earlier. When I sell a car, I've emotionally broken up with it, and I pretty much have come to terms that I need to sell it. I have a 52 Chevy right now that I've been hemming and hawing. I just put it up for sale, and now in my brain, I'm ready to let it go. It's time to move on.
Favorite TV or movie car?
That would probably have to be the Ricky Nelson Roadster. That is a pretty famous roadster that Ricky Nelson on the TV show drove. Was not built just for the show, but that's where it came famous and has its nickname. It actually lives now in Three Dog Garage in my hometown, so I get to regularly visit that car and kind of look at it and just stand in awe of it.
Oh, very cool. I'm headed out to Three Dog pretty soon, so that's awesome. Money no object. What's your dream car? What's going in that stone-walled garage of yours? I
think probably my dream car would have to be a 32 Ford 3-window that has some sort of neat history. I actually have a lead-on one I've been chasing for years, so it would have to be something with some history. But 32 3-window has been a car that I've been chasing and have not been able to own one for years. Even if I had the money, they're hard to buy.
Matt, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. You can follow Matt Iron Trap Garage on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Anything else you want to mention?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, please check it out. Again, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Well, CarSmarts Radio will be preempted for the next 2 weekends for Villanova basketball. That'll give you a chance to get caught up on old shows by going to 610ESPN.com and clicking on the CarSmarts Radio banner and hit the podcast page. You can now pick from 50 past shows on a range of automotive topics with special guests on each show. On January 25th, we'll welcome Kevin Mazzicola, Executive Director of the Automobile Dealers Association of Greater Philadelphia. They do the Philly Auto Show. He'll be in studio to talk about the auto show, which takes place February 8th through the 17th this year. I'll be down there quite a bit, so I hope to meet you. He'll be here to tell us what goes into putting on this massive winter indoor car show. It's quite a process. Until then, tune up and tune in to CarSmarts Radio.